Okay. Apparently that's what happens when you record. The intro still plays. Noted. Welcome, everybody, to the HVA-Chicks radio show. It has been a while, and that's because we have so much going on right now, both for the coalition, for HVAC company, for all of our staff's companies. It's just been a crazy busy time of year. So we decided to come back with a absolute master of these things. So the chances of us screwing it up are fairly low. So let me introduce my absolute love, Miss Louise Kellar from UEI. Thank you for being here, Louise.
Oh, I'm excited to be here. I really, I love all the things you have been doing with the coalition, and it seems like a timely month actually for us to kick off. So because if you aren't aware, one of the reasons, uh the coalition and the show is kind of open and we get to kind of pick our topics that we want to discuss. I thought about making the topic solve all the world's problems. I didn't think we would probably get through that in one little segment. So I figured we would just probably tackle one problem, which is talking about carbon monoxide. And for those of you who aren't aware, November is National Carbon Monoxide Awareness Month. And I know we're doing something a little different today because this is going to be pre-recorded and go out later. But it's a great reminder, though. So hopefully everybody in their houses has carbon monoxide alarms. And we need to make sure that they are operating properly. So one of the big recommendations out there is to actually, every time we have that time change, because we also face that
Right.
at 2 a.m. this morning, and then it was 2 a.m. again or something like that. I don't even know.
I can't do it.
I know. I was at a store earlier and they asked me how I was doing. I was like, I'm cold and I don't know what time it is. But it is a good reminder, though, as we don't know what time it is, to go ahead and check those smoke alarms and CO alarms.
Oh, absolutely. And personal monitors too, you guys. If you are a technician, you should be carrying a personal CO monitor. Val carries one everywhere he goes. I mean, we'll be in Dunkin' Donuts and he's like, we got 9 ppm, friends. So carry your personals too.
Yes. And so, I just thought this was a great time and a great date to kick off that month and just make people
Perfect.
aware because, I would love that I have talked so much about the dangers of CO and even how to do combustion analysis that
Yes.
it put me out of a job. Unfortunately, there's just so many people who don't really understand the dangers of it.
Yes.
Um, and I know I teach a lot of classes, especially this time of year is when people start thinking about it.
Oh, yeah.
Interestingly enough, it's not always the winter though that will get you with the dangers of CO.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah, it can happen in the summer, it can happen anytime. And so that's what I spend a lot of the season though talking about is the dangers because that's when it becomes forefront to a lot of our viewers that are out there today and a lot of the homeowners because they're
Absolutely.
aware that, anything that's a fossil burning appliance
Right.
can produce CO.
Yeah.
But they don't always recognize the sources. And one of the other things that I've really learned over my time is the fact that we read those manuals, right? We preach read a manual,
Yeah.
and you read a manual and they have some great information in there, right? And I'm pretty sure on almost every page of a furnace or a boiler or a water heater, it tells you improper installation can lead to injury, death.
Absolutely.
And one of the things, though, that I found really interesting, and I've gotten to see a lot of research on it, actually has to do we understand death is bad. We understand, right? Like it's not good practice. And I've said it before, don't kill your customers.
Yeah.
But I
Amen.
think the thing that gets lost a lot in that is it has to do with long term injury from low levels of carbon monoxide.
Oh, for sure.
And that is actually a little bit scarier to me
Yeah.
is that, we know that we could possibly kill somebody, but that long-term injury can take so many different forms.
Oh yeah.
You know, at UEI Test Instruments a couple of years ago, we partnered with an organization called the National Carbon Monoxide Awareness Association,
Hmm.
who actually started by a lady who was a long-term carbon monoxide survivor.
Oh wow.
Um, yeah, and the stories, I mean, they put on some wonderful summits. If you're not familiar with that organization, I definitely recommend looking up the NCOAA,
Yeah.
because they keep like running tallies of like all of the stories that happen across the country.
Yes.
And it's pretty live, and
Oh, I actually used them
it's
for our presentation at the symposium last year. We did
okay.
the boiler basics, and when we got to the part about the two types of boiler deaths are explosion and CO. And so we got to one, and I had found it on their website that two teachers and their two daughters had gone to their vacation home in New Hampshire on Christmas Eve to spend Christmas at their vacation home. And they turned on the heat, they thought nothing of it, and the next morning they didn't wake up. All of them dead in different parts of the house. That's because they woke up and decided to go on vacation on Christmas Eve and nothing else. They did nothing else to deserve that. But also to your point, Louise, this is the silent killer, right? This is something we don't see coming. And so when we're dead, right? But that long-term injury is suffering. That's when we cross over from that kind of like the peaceful thought of dying from CO poisoning versus absolutely scary suffrage that comes from it when you don't die. And that's even scarier, in my opinion. For sure.
Yeah, and the research that's been coming out about those low level injuries is just absolutely astounding. I got to attend the third annual NCOAA summit this year,
Wow.
and there were a couple of things that happened. One, I don't know how I wound up with probably one of the saddest topics in the industry, being like trying to be like one of the
You of
happiest
all
people
people.
I know. But I think you have to have that balance on there. And I've had some conversations, but there's been a lot of research that's come out about low levels of carbon monoxide poisoning. One of the organizations that I got to see speak is the CO Research Trust. They're actually based out of the UK.
Yep.
And they've been doing a lot of research at those lower levels and just finding out like how does it really affect? Because a lot of times in a lot of the studies that had previously gone into what are safe levels of CO, they've
Yes.
been done and they've been studied, but the people that they've been studying, and unfortunately it's just part of the nature of almost every study though, is that it tends to be the average adult male.
Right.
So
So
how,
we know how
like,
it
I've
affects
just,
them.
looking at the two of you, right? Like how something affects Val is very different than how it can affect
Right.
you. And that's also very different than how it can affect your child.
Right. Or the elderly. Absolutely.
Exactly. Predisposed dispositions and things like that. I mean,
Yep.
there's just so many things. And the hard part though is that low level CO can really manifest in a lot of different ways.
I've
It's
seen that it can
not
actually affect your DNA. Like it can affect you at like the molecular level.
It gets into
Scary.
it'll get into your bloodstream really
Right.
easy, but it doesn't leave very easy.
Right.
no,
What
and
is
you're
symptoms, Louise?
100% correct on that. So,
What would
I
symptoms
think a
be
lot of
of
times,
that? If you were
yeah.
like thinking maybe I have been exposed at low levels and maybe like stuff just doesn't kind of feel right within my body and I think maybe that's why, like what would some of the symptoms be to look out for?
So like a lot of like the basic symptoms start off with things like you start maybe getting a headache. You can start off with maybe some nauseousness. And really at those low levels, it also will mimic flu-like symptoms.
Oh
That's
wow.
just yeah. So, I always think about like maybe you've had that friend or you've had that colleague that thinks they're always sick. There's
Right.
always something wrong and they go to the doctors and the doctors don't diagnose it. Right? They either write it off
It's
as like
viral.
this person just wants something
Yeah.
or
Right.
it gets misdiagnosed, because like the founder of the NCOAA, Sharon, I think she got diagnosed with things that ranged all the way from traumatic brain injury to early onset Alzheimer's.
Wow.
And it ultimately started affecting mobility.
Oh,
And she's not the only one. Like, I've read so many stories of people who have had similar things. There was a national news story that came out, I think it was in like maybe 2018, and it was actually about 45 minutes east of where I live, where a lady thought she had the flu for 10 years. She was losing mobility. There were just all these things, and she kept going to different doctors, and nobody was diagnosing it because, unfortunately, it's not like one of those go-to things.
right.
Doctors don't necessarily think, oh, and then, even if they do, they'll ask things like, hey, did you have a carbon monoxide detector in the house?
And if you say
And
yeah,
carbon monoxide detectors, for everybody that's listening out there, there's limitations on those
yeah,
home seal alarms. Most of them are written to a UL 2034 standard. And that UL 2034 standard is written very, very differently than what we're used to seeing standards written to. Part of it was to kind of prevent from false alarms. And I think also when that standard was written, people didn't necessarily know all the dangers from those lower level exposures. But the UL
I
2030
remember that.
actually tells us.
I think it's what's the maximum on that? It's like ridiculous. I remember you telling me.
So yeah, so like a home CO alarm, they're designed to save lives,
Right.
but they're not designed to keep away those low levels. But so it has to see, like, there's the big one that we really look at starts at 70 parts per million in the ambient air. And that has to be sustained, by the way, sustained,
Yeah.
because that alarm is not allowed to alarm for the first hour, but must alarm by the fourth hour.
It's crazy
So
that
when we
even
think
does
about
save
that,
lives.
well,
Crazy
it
that
does.
does save
And
lives to
then,
me.
yeah, and then as the concentration gets higher, that time to alarm is significantly dropped,
Right.
right? Like, so I think when we get to the 400 parts per million, we're looking at it, it has to alarm within, it can't alarm before it hits that threshold.
Right.
And when we look
Okay, that
at
makes sense.
the industry and what the industry standard is, so ASHRAE, so when we look at ASHRAE standards, ASHRAE says in the ambient air in a residential facility, we can have up to 9 parts per million.
Right.
And believe it or not, most EMTs, firefighters, first responders are going to evacuate out a building at 35 parts per million.
Right. So
35 parts per million.
anywhere between say 5 and 35, you're looking at those sustained low level injuries.
Exactly. And the more you're exposed to it, right? Because think about like when you're exposed, and Val mentioned it just a little bit ago, that just because you're not being exposed to it at that moment
Right.
doesn't mean it leaves your body.
Right.
And that's the part that a lot of people don't realize. They like, hey, we've evacuated out this building,
Yeah. They're all
but
safe now.
that CO is still staying in your system, and not everybody's metabolism is the same. So
Right.
how long it stays in your system can really depend on who you are, how long you were exposed to it. Was it a consistent exposure? And then the other thing is like when people get these mystery illnesses, as we'll call them,
Yeah.
what's I don't feel well. What's a doctor tell you to do? Stay home.
Yeah.
So now you've stayed home. And
Yes.
what keeps happening? So we wind up in this vicious circle. And unfortunately, to really diagnose somebody with CO poisoning, it's actually a very intense blood draw that they have to do. It's like it's not your standard blood draw that you would get like for your yearly physical. It's actually a much more intense,
So they would have to
because it's an
suspect it.
arterial blood draw
Yeah.
that is very, very intense.
So they would have to suspect
So
that you
that's why I say
had
it's not one of those first
exposure.
things that people think about.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. They wouldn't even test. You would
Yeah.
not get this test
So that
unless
makes it a
it was,
lot more difficult.
yeah.
Yeah. And the other thing, though, that I really learned, and I thought this was a really interesting statistic, and I think this is really pertinent to everybody listening out there. The UL Standards and Engagements Committee, they did a study last year. And that study was really interesting because that study was talking about like homeowners and who's responsible for mitigating the risk of CO. And according to their study, 60% of homeowners actually think it's the HVAC contractor's responsibility to mitigate that risk of CO.
Oh, Lord.
And now I want you to think about that. So homeowners are relying on us to protect them.
Yep. Even if it's not one of our appliances causing it, it sounds like.
Correct. Yeah, and that's the other thing is really knowing what those sources of carbon monoxide are in a house. There's so many things that I've heard and so many stories that I've heard. But I recommend, by the way, we talked about home CO alarms.
Yeah.
I do recommend everybody have one. I don't care if you live in an all electric neighborhood. There are still potential sources of CO that could come into the house. One of the really great examples, automobiles. They're one of the top reasons that home CO alarms go off. I tell a lot of stories about cars. So my daily driver, right? The car I drive every single day has a key. And when I'm done driving that car, you shut the car off and you pull the key out, car's off. New cars, though, the little push buttons.
Yeah.
I'm actually kind of embarrassed how many times I've thought I've shut off a car.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden I start walking away and it starts beeping at me.
Yeah.
Because I have failed to, I don't know. I
You
thought I
don't
was
pull the
smart
key
enough
out.
to know how to, I don't pull a key out, but I think I hit the stop start button, but
Yeah.
for whatever reason, it doesn't necessarily happen. I don't know. Maybe I didn't hit the right sequence. I don't know if there's like a bewitched thing where I got to wiggle my nose and like hit a
I
series.
hate those things. I really do. I'll never forget the first time Val tried to drive one. He's like, this is insane. This guy drives a standard like for a living. He just couldn't start this car.
You got to push the brake
imagine
in,
now.
you got to hit the button.
Right. So imagine now that you're in a attached garage, right?
Yep.
And maybe even an attached garage where your HVAC system pulls intake air from said garage. I have seen them set up this way. I would never recommend it. I've seen it many times though. So now your intake air is coming out of your garage where your push button car is still running. That's putting CO into your house where it wasn't before. Right.
And they're quiet, right? Those new cars
are
so quiet. Like,
it could take forever to notice.
But the other thing about CO that people don't realize, so like you were talking about how it could get into the HVAC system that way.
Yep.
The other thing though about it is that it can actually kind of migrate through the walls.
Oh, for sure.
So
Yeah.
Think about it.
It's
It
molecular.
can go under the doors. It can go through those walls. And that's why we also hear stories about like somebody was in a third floor and it was a bad pool heater or something because that CO has layered up and it's gotten into the ambient air and it can layer itself pretty quickly. So,
talk about that. What does layering itself mean, Louise? Because what I find, and I told you I'm teaching a class right now of a very, very massive company that I was very surprised to find they didn't understand the need for combustion analysis and for CO testing. We're teaching that right now. Louise is actually helping me teach that right now. But let's talk about that. What is CO capable of, first of all? Because everybody thinks, oh, if you're not on the ground floor, laying down on a couch, you're not going to get CO poisoning. Talk about that. And then also maybe some other ways that wouldn't be like coming through the wall, some other ways that maybe you could get exposed to it without it being something directly related to your maybe HVAC system.
Yeah. So, and I think that's a great things to point out. So the actual weight of carbon monoxide and the ambient air is very, very similar.
Yeah.
They're not that dissimilar. But what carbon monoxide does is it can actually layer itself on top. So just because, like, so say somebody has a boiler in the basement, right? Like that's not a super uncommon thing to find, right?
Yeah.
But so we hear about a contractor's gone down and there's higher levels down there.
Right.
But as that keeps building, it just kind of keeps stacking in the air and it will eventually push all of that oxygen out of your way. So it can layer, it might be the highest level down in by the boiler downstairs in a basement. We unfortunately
Right, we
probably have
hope.
all heard those stories.
Yeah.
But as it's exposed over time, it will just keep building up and keep rising and keep rising and keep rising. So
Right. So your
just because you're
bedroom
on
may
the
be
third floor,
upstairs. If your bedroom say is on the second floor, basement has the boiler, and then you're standing at your kitchen sink. There is no rule of carbon monoxide that says it cannot poison you at your kitchen sink. There's also no rule that says it can't poison you the second you get into bed that night. You're moving around, you're getting access to air as you're awake and you're moving around, you're going outside, maybe you're getting the mail, you're leaving your house for hours at a time and then coming back. But when you go upstairs to your second floor bedroom, there's nothing saying that when you lay down in your bed and you're stationary and that carbon monoxide has layered itself like that and moved the air out of the way, and all that's left is carbon monoxide, that you're not going to not wake up the next morning. So it's so hard to find. That's why I wanted you to bring that up, because I have so many companies that just don't even know it can do that. They're like, oh, I'm the one at risk. I'm the contractor. Nobody else going down into the basement to check this heat exchanger out. Well, yes, you're at risk, but so is everybody else. And that's really important. People think that it is. I think it's because of school. Remember the classes in school they used to teach us where they would say carbon monoxide stays down low, right? Not a thing.
I don't think I remember that from any of my classes. I remember stop, drop, and roll.
We had it drilled in our heads when we were kids that if you have fear of carbon monoxide poisoning, don't lay down, because laying down is when it's going to get you, because you're lower to the floor. Oh my God, it was awful. It was awful.
Yeah,
it's just a really bad education.
Yeah, and I mean, I think they were well intentioned, and I think
for sure,
a lot more about it over the years is probably what I'm hoping to say. I mean,
we're talking the 90s. I mean.
Well, yeah, I mean, I think we were really more concerned about like stop, drop, and roll, and that sand was going to get us.
Yep.
I don't really think that they talked a whole lot about carbon monoxide. And the interesting thing, I was talking to somebody the other day, and part of the conversation we were talking about is, there's a lot of accidental carbon monoxide deaths, but there was also a lot of intentional carbon monoxide deaths. Like, again, we're talking about cars and auto exhaust, because auto exhaust, but like that, I feel like that was the plot line to every like late 90s, 2000s, like movie.
Exactly it. Open your garage door if your car's running.
It was something. But you know what? That also didn't really. So they were talking about that. And I learned, again, I thought I knew a lot about carbon monoxide, but at the summit they were talking about. So we know that like when we go to start a car, we should open the garage door. We should then turn on the car. But there's a third missing step that I find a lot of times. And I'll be honest, I didn't know. It was, you're actually supposed to back that car out of the garage. Because
that would make sense, right? Because that mitigate that migration.
Right, it makes sense, but think about it. And so like think about like what if there's a wind blowing and it's blowing back towards your garage and now you've opened a garage door.
Or if there isn't
change pressure.
If you're backed into your garage, you start your car, your exhaust is pointing directly at your walls. We know it can travel through walls and there's no wind. There's no dilution. And then you close your garage door after you pull out. So now you've trapped it. I can definitely see that being a problem. And I've never even thought of it in my life.
No, this is what I'm saying is I thought I knew a lot. And I think that's also a good education is no matter how much we think we know, there's always something more to learn. That one was really, really crazy to me. One of the other things, that I talk about a lot in my trainings has to do with ovens.
Oh yeah.
People don't think about their ovens as much. And I have to tell you, ovens are allowed to start up at a higher level of carbon monoxide in their flue gas or in their gases
Right.
than what a furnace or a boiler is allowed to start up at. And they're not direct vented.
Yes.
They're
Yeah,
not direct
they're
vented.
ventless. They say dilution is what happens when you start them up. Absolute bullshit.
Well,
you
and
guys.
that's why you're supposed to turn on the exhaust fan.
Right. That's why you have a
And then
hood.
we-
I've
It-
come across a lot of kitchen exhaust fans that don't vent out themselves.
Right. They're vented into the attic.
No, like some
Right,
of them,
that's a
some of
wonderful
them
thought.
have,
Or are ventless.
some of them it blows right back out the front of it. It sucks it up the top and blows right back
Very
out the
true.
front.
Very true. You're right. Yeah.
I've come
Oh
across
my gosh, I
those.
never even thought of that.
I'm like, what are they expect that filter in there to like
Hold carbon
dilute the
monoxide?
smoke and the carbon monoxide or something from this stove? I mean, I
It's
guess that style hood would be better with an electric stove or something.
Right.
But even still, like your smoke from, like, say you burnt your chicken or something like that, you know, like
Well, also ozone with an
yeah.
electric stove. You have an ozone
I mean,
risk with an electric
it's
stove.
it's
Yeah.
not getting that exhaust out of the building. It's just circulating it to somewhat dilute it, I guess. I mean, the
Yeah.
filter in there is gonna catch
Particulates.
the particulates from grease or whatever, but the smoke is just gonna blow right back out of it.
That's people's houses who
Yeah.
always smell like fried chicken.
Yeah.
You can tell when you walk in.
Oh man, and I think that's why I avoid cooking certain things at my house, or like that is a grill only item because I do not want my house to smell like that. Um,
For
but
sure.
no, I gotta tell you, like, so it boggles my mind, and like I do watch like some of the HGTV shows.
Yeah.
I get a guilty pleasure, and then sometimes I'm yelling at the TV, going,
Get out.
I don't think that house. No, what happened? Did they put an HVAC system in it? Like,
Oh, the
it looks really
fireplaces, the
pretty.
gas fireplaces are the worst. None of them are even vented. They put them in and like the pilots just like lit all the time, but out to the open, like to their great room.
Well, and for
Terrifying.
those fireplaces, right? They call
Yeah.
them they're ventless fireplaces.
Yes.
They're
Let's
they're
talk about
the
that because
natural.
we have a severe, that is a very, we have somebody in our town that has a ventless fireplace and was just not understanding what that meant and was telling other people to go, this is your solution to your problem. Go get these ventless fireplaces and put them in your house. And so like we're scrambling online, Val and I just, that's not a solution. Those are not actually ventless. All it means is that it doesn't come with one.
Yeah.
No, that is not safe.
And if
And
you
a lot
read
of
the
times when you
manual,
read the manual, have
Yeah.
you pulled up the manuals on those? They'll
Oh,
tell
yeah.
you to crack a window.
Yes,
That's
absolutely.
their
Always have the
solution.
window open when you're running it.
And
Run
they'll-
it only. It also says in the manual, run it only for entertaining purposes, not for heating.
yeah.
So-
and it
So
also,
it's only for a cocktail party, not for like your daily heat.
Yeah, and they'll go put it in and run it 24 hours a day.
it'll also tell you what rooms you can and can't install them
Very
in.
true.
Like you cannot install one of those in a bedroom by code.
Yep. And you should always have, a carbon monoxide monitor.
Yeah.
And I would say if you have anything like that says the word ventless, if you have anything like that in your home, also have a personal CO monitor. They are so personal CO monitor isn't like saying alert the cops, right? Like they're not saying come in and evacuate a building. They're saying this is how much is in your current space around you and whether or not you should dilute that space or get out of it. And then when you have a hit on that, it could be anywhere at any time. It could be in a restaurant. It could be anywhere, but also in your own home, you kind of know, okay, this is how long I can run this thing without having a 9+ spike on my ppm, right? It's just really important to get like an Atmo tube or just a regular CO personal monitor. It's really not hard. They're not that expensive and they will save that injury. That we're not talking about death, like your CO, your CO monitors in your house will save you from that, but not from death, but from those low point injuries.
And I'll give you a little preview, by the way. So we actually, we've had an ambient air CO detector that we've had available, our COA2, which is a great little tool to walk in, and it
Oh, wow.
actually shows you parts per million. We actually have a new product that's going to be debuting called the UEI Clip. I think it's going to be arriving in just a couple of weeks. But what it is it's almost just about the size of a business card.
Yep.
And all it does is if it sees 20 parts per million or above, it's going to alarm for you.
Oh, wow.
So we set it a little bit higher than what the ASHRAE standards are.
So if you're
but
breathing and it's in your hand.
Right, like we want to make
Yeah.
sure. But it's actually a clip, so you'll be able to throw it on like your tool bag or your belt
That's what you
or
have, is a
anything
clip
like
one.
that. And it also has like a lanyard option with it. So
Awesome.
like, because we also deal with a lot of people like facility maintenance, they're going in and out, and it's
Yeah.
something they can just throw on and be able to identify, hey, because it'll alarm you before you get to those really high levels where you need to be evacuated.
Yes.
And it's just going to tell you, and it has like a 2-year battery life and a sensor in it, so it's going to be really reasonable. But the UEI Clip, I'm really excited about
Oh,
this
yeah.
particular one, because you're right, like, so you have the ones that show the actual parts per million. This is just going to be basically an alarm to alert you, hey, we're in
Right.
the danger zone.
Yeah.
Get out.
You don't have
and
to look
then
at
we
it or
can
pay
figure it out.
attention to it. It's just going to tell you what's going on.
So for anybody who I always liken it to, do you remember the old Ronco like infomercials as a kid?
Oh,
He was
yes.
the guy, the Ronco rotisserie, set it
Yeah.
and forget it.
Yeah.
That's basically
Yeah.
what this is once you've
Exactly.
started it runs until the battery's done on it, and it has about a 2-year battery life. So
I love that. You don't
it's
got to
a
pay attention
set
to
it
it.
and
You don't have to be
forget it.
staring at it to know what you're in danger of. That's really, really important.
Exactly.
And the other thing is, not only, like, I'm going back to what Louise was saying, because I guess I never, until I talked to Louise, I never really think about any of this. Like, I think about CO all the time, obviously in my profession, but there's certain things that Louise kind of brings up that are a little bit more thought provoking, right? And so the woman who started the, what is it, NCOAA, who had these injuries, who thought she was sick for years and years and years and years, you could be the difference. You could be the person that walks in with a personal CO monitor or one of those UEI clips, and it starts going off in certain rooms, maybe her bedroom or her walk-in closet or wherever it is that she's spending time. You could be the person that saves that person after all those years of having that personal injury from CO in their home. So then you stay home because you're sick, like Louise says, and you're being poisoned actively. It's just like when you watch those documentaries, is what it reminds me of. I was watching one the other day, remember? The woman kept going to the hospital and she would get better, and then she would go home and she would be sick again, and the husband was poisoning her. Same thing with your house. If your house is poisoning you, that you could be the difference. You could be the one technician that walked in there with a device like that and was able to tell her, ma'am, you are not sick. You're being poisoned, Huge. That's huge. That's life-saving.
You know what hurts my heart when knowing the story and knowing her, Sharon she's an amazing woman. And she's doing.
I'd like to get her on here. Sounds pretty awesome.
So we'll get you connected, and see if she'll be on. I don't ever make any promises, but
Right.
I think the thing that like really kills me is like a little bit of me is that she had home CO alarms.
Yeah.
And her dad was actually an HVAC contractor. She was your dream customer who had like the clean and checks done.
Yeah.
This preventative maintenance spring and fall.
Yeah.
And not a single contractor had walked in with a CO detector or done a combustion analysis.
Yep.
And that is just so
all
I know
those years of just
security in there for me to keep talking about this, because there's just so many things. And again, I think we focus a lot on the death portion of things. And again,
for sure. I have commercial companies that will say with an RTU, we don't automatically condemn it for a blown heat exchanger. And that's because it's not, the intake air and the exhaust are outside the building. But your supply is still in the building. Your return is still in the building. If you have something that is leaking CO, you have to condemn it, you guys, no matter what. And it's a hard pill to swallow when you're in a situation like a commercial company in the middle of New York City. It's a hard pill to swallow. But if you are the reason for somebody not being harmed with those low levels, or you're the reason they were harmed at those low levels, you ain't going to be able to sleep at night. It's not worth it. It's not worth. Tell them they have, one redundant heat exchanger that they're not going to be able to use until you get a new one. It's not that hard. And if they don't like it, write a message in Sharpie on that, right on the door panel. Tell them I condemned this unit for CO, and the next guy won't come and put one in either. We got to work together to try to save people's lives here, because they really don't know what's best for them, and it really sucks.
Yeah,
really sucks.
And the other thing though that goes to is also making sure that we're identifying the correct source of that carbon monoxide, because I got to have a conversation, if you know David from the NCI.
Oh yeah,
he wrote an article like a year or two ago about how he had gone into a house as a second opinion. And the first contractor had condemned the furnace because they noticed CO in the ambient air. It turned out it was actually a faulty oven.
Yeah.
So I think
don't ever do that, you guys.
It's correctly identifying that source. And I realize, like, we're busy people. There's a lot of things that are going on. You're focused on one thing, but we got to make sure that we're leaving the customer in the safest place possible. And again, homeowners are relying on that HVAC contractor. And
even if the homeowner says, I swear to God, it's my HVAC unit, we have tools now where we can prove that it's not. And if it's not, they're still in danger. It's not about fault or blame. It's about you're still in danger if it's not my unit. And so that's a great segue, Louise, into and this is going to make so many people mad because it always does, but I'm okay with that. As a technician, if you're doing any type of maintenance or really maintenance on any combustion, CO is a byproduct of combustion. It's not a bad word. It's not a dirty thing. It's something that happens because we burn dirty fuels. End of story. It's a byproduct of combustion. If there's a combustion unit that you're doing a maintenance on, a tune-up, a checkup, your customer assumes you're going to do everything you can to keep them safe from it, period. Even if that's not what's included in your $79.99 tune-up, I don't care. That's why I always say we don't do tune-ups, we do maintenance. $300 to make sure that oil-fired furnace is not killing people is way more worth it than a $79 tune-up to add add-ons for sales. It's not worth it. If you are not running combustion analysis every single time you touch that unit for a maintenance, if you're there to prevent things and combustion analysis isn't on your list, you're doing it wrong, period. And if you just don't know, learn it. Learn, period. If you do know and you're not doing it, you're a hack, period.
And we all know in the world of HVAC, if you were the last one to touch it,
it's
you
yours.
Own it.
Yep.
It's yours. So if you did not do a combustion test and make
Even
sure
if it's your first time,
that thing was running right, you walk in, you did a tune-up, and your tune-up only consisted of wiping down the face of the thing and making sure that the thing was running. That still applies. You were the last one there. You're the last one to touch it. When you leave and that customer ends up sick or even dead,
it's your fault.
It is your fault.
And also, it's your company's fault if they're not providing them. So I have had several companies recently that I am now teaching weekly who have said to me, we didn't know. We don't have combustion analyzers at the ready for them. We're getting them right now. We're scrambling to get them because we really didn't know that we were supposed to be doing this test on every maintenance. And now that we know, we understand the dangers and we're going to do it. There are also companies, you guys, and those of you who work for other bosses, there are companies who refuse to do them. And if they refuse to provide a combustion analyzer for you to do your job properly, you don't belong there. Come to us. We'll get you another job. They're a dime a dozen. We've been working for companies who do care about people. But if you're not running combustion analysis and it's because you don't want to, you don't belong in this trade. If it's because you don't know, reach out and find out. It's your responsibility as the technician. And like Val said, if you're the last one to touch it, doesn't matter if the guy before you ran a combustion analysis, because now you didn't, and it's over now. It's all on you.
And if you red tag something, take a picture of it, document it, because I've seen a lot of customers come back behind the technician and take that red tag off and fire that thing back up.
That's why I say right on the panel with Sharpie. This thing was, if it's CO, we don't mess around. That's for sure. But also, everybody doesn't want to do combustion analysis because they're expensive. The tools are so expensive. If you've got a fleet company with 50 trucks, you only need one, guys. You only need one. You need one that they can share, or you can go slowly. Like I have a company right now that's buying 4 at a time, kind of every few months, just trying to get these trucks outfitted. But UEI is an affordable option, and they're one of the best CO or combustion analyzers out there. They're also the easiest to use. I was trying to use some of the more fancy ones, and Louise showed me hers, and I was like, that's what I need. I can't be messing around with this. Like, I don't need a spaceship. I need something to tell me if there's, too much CO in this flue. So,
Yeah,
UEI.
that's one of the things though that I'm very fortunate at UEI. So
Yeah.
a lot of people, if you aren't familiar, we're a second generation family owned business. All of our combustion analyzers are manufactured in a facility that we own in the UK. We've been making combustion analyzers. I finally found the exact year, and I'm not going to share it, but I will tell you that that Kane, which is part of our larger, started manufacturing combustion analyzers in the same year I was born. So that's how long they have been making portable combustion analyzers. And
this isn't a new thing, guys.
The old ones, if you saw the old ones, they were very bulky, they were very big. They came in basically what looked like a suitcase. Like, I've seen them. They were big, they were bulky, they were heavy. There was a handset, there was like it's amazing how far we've come. Right now it's like a nice little handheld one that we do. And we carry a variety, because I think you nailed the point. Like, a lot of companies just assume that these are really expensive tools, which also boggles my mind, because I know the price of some of the other tools that people will spend their money on.
Weird, right?
And I won't, I'm not going to name any of those tools that you won't get, but I think there's some things that are easily a couple $1,000s out there that
don't save lives.
Bat an eye to buy. And then they say a combustion analyzer, and they're like, whoa, that's really expensive.
Oh no, thank you. And UEI is not only affordable, but they're also like trusted. They're trusted, you guys. And the other thing I want, Louise, just where we have like 5 minutes to talk about this, can you tell them what happens if you have a combustion analyzer that's a UEI that needs to be calibrated? What happens to it? Because I think that's really unique about UEI.
Yeah. So 2 things. One, we have a very affordable option for a combustion analyzer. You're looking at under $700. So I really don't think, I know that you'll spend almost that much on a lot of other tools and a lot more on tools. And this is really a bag that's going to make right. We won't even get into those. Like, that's a whole other thing.
Your Hermes Vito.
Oh my gosh, that would be amazing. Like, I look at the scarves every time I go to Vegas, and I'm like, oh, one day. So buy the analyzer, so one day I might be able to have my scarf from them. But beyond that, let's talk about it, because this is the other component of combustion analyzers. And I will say this, whether it's my brand or somebody else's brand, when you really dive into the manuals, everybody says you should also have that recalibrated every single year. And so when we think about recalibration, we really think about the fact that they throw it on some gases, they say it's good to go, and they send it back, or they change out the sensors. And the reason for that is because CO sensors can naturally drift. It's just something that happens. And depending on your sensor configurations, if you have an oxygen sensor in it, those can die. And so it's been industry recommended that you send them in for recertification every year. And it's a pain. It is a pain point, because it costs you money.
And you're without it.
You're without it. So we actually designed a program a couple of years ago called UEI Service Plus Guaranteed. And that has been, it's an award-winning thing. It won a Gold Dealer Design Award in 2024. But it's designed for the contractor to do the right thing that you should already be doing. And we're going to incentivize you for doing that. So, a lot of tools come with a 1-year warranty. The way that this program works is every year you send it in for recertification, we give you another year warranty for up to 10 years from that date of purchase.
Imagine that, you guys.
It's like, can you imagine if auto manufacturers said, hey, get your oil changed every time you need it, and we'll give you a longer
warranty.
That would be amazing, right? But so since they don't, we'll give you a longer warranty on it. The other thing that we do is that we also realize that everybody's really busy. And I would like to think that everybody thinks about sending these things in like July. However,
when you don't need it right now.
However, that's not the way it works. So we actually do same day recertification out of our Indianapolis facility. That's where we're
Crazy.
based out of. That's where I'm based out of. So if it lands in our facility on like a Wednesday morning, it goes back out on a UPS truck Wednesday afternoon.
Yep.
We made it pretty easy for you to access this, and it's designed for contractors. To access it through our website, you can go to our service tab, you fill out a little bit of information, and then at the end of it, when you're eligible for the UEI Service Plus Guaranteed, we actually give you the UPS label to send it back to us. So now you don't even have to think about like, what carrier am I going to use, right? Because there's lots of options with that. Like, is it UPS, USPS, FedEx?
Which one's
like
faster? Which one's more? Yeah, not going to smash my pool up.
So we actually give you, I would love it. I have been saying carrier pigeons. Nobody has yet to send me a message with a carrier pigeon, but if you could find a carrier pigeon that will carry your analyzer to us,
we will take it.
We will take it, but we'd prefer that you use the UPS label that we'll give you at the end of it.
Absolutely.
And if you run into problems, the other thing that I think is really nice about UEI, and I love talking about the fact that we have real people you can talk to. You can actually call our tech support line. You can call our customer service, and you get a real person.
Yep.
I always laugh.
And they answer.
So they do.
Crazy.
They do. I know. And we even have like the little chatbot function now on our website. And it'll direct you like to some of the commonly asked questions, but there's actually a real person that staffs that as well.
Yeah.
So it's real people. Because sometimes when you need an answer, you need an answer.
Like right
and it's sometimes it's easier to talk to a real person. I mean, I think there's a lot of great things about technology, so I don't want to be, downing all of that. But
I think though it's overdone, and we're all kind of, especially contractors. Contractors are simple creatures. We just like want to get through our day, and like whatever helps us get through our day, that's great. And usually the higher tech doesn't exactly help us get through our day. So what we're all looking for is those companies that have do they answer the phone? And when they do, is it a person and not a bot? And if that is something that your company offers, your company's going to do a whole lot better right now in 2025, because we're all just over it. We're all sick of it.
I am telling you, I was talking to somebody else inside my company the other day. I had to call the manufacturer for my weed whip at my house, right? I was having some issues. I went through the troubleshooting, blah, blah, blah. I needed a replacement part. It was not easy to find on their website. I was like, I'll just call the 800 number.
Yeah. Big mistake.
45 minutes later, talking to somebody who didn't know the product. Like she was like, oh, that's too old. We can't replace your weed whip. I was like, I don't need you to replace the weed whip. It actually just had to be with the string. Like they had redone their string and it was like unwinding way faster.
Yeah.
I was like, I think you guys have an issue. Like I want to talk to a real person.
Right.
And she's like, so no, your weed whip's too old. I'm like, no, like
forget it.
new real person.
Yeah, we're over it. We're so over it at this point in our lives.
It was calling several numbers because the first one, and then I had to go through the AI bot, and then I got a real person who didn't know the product. And the thing about our company is that we are a big name, but we're a small company when you really think about it.
And a small old company, which I love about UEI. Yes. And you guys, as far as the research goes, this is what I always recommend to every single one of my students or companies that I work for. I tell them, you all have a CRM. Put your date of research in your CRM and send it out the same date every single year. It'll alert the office. It'll alert the owners, whoever else is on that ticket for research. It'll say, hey, it's time for research. If you do that, you're not going to forget. You're going to have it back in 2 days. Like not depending on what time it even gets there, you might have it back the next day. Like it's really not a hard thing to make sure you do, but it is one of those things that like, A, you're covering your ass. B, you're you can promise yourself that your combustion analyzer is never lying to you, which they can do. Like Louise said, the sensors can just migrate. Like it's just a thing about them. The other thing is you could tack one out. You know what I mean? You could tack your sensor out and not even know it. Like if you didn't watch it happen or you forgot about it 6 months later and went to turn that thing on, you could have a tacked out sensor. You don't know because you never sent it in for recert. But when you do that, also, if that thing, you drop it off of your ladder in 2 weeks after you recertify it, they're gonna warranty that. That's insane. Well, maybe not dropping it off the water, but the ladder.
No.
It would kill it, Louise.
Yeah. So
don't tell them you dropped it off the ladder.
Don't drop it off the ladder. Okay, that's the first thing. The second thing is you are correct. Depending on whose analyzer you have, you can peg a sensor.
Yeah.
All of ours though actually have an overrange purge pump on them.
Oh, listen to that.
Turn your head, and all of a sudden you've spiked it, right? And I know you all are doing a lot of boiler work.
Yeah.
With that boiler work though, you can peg a CO sensor pretty quickly. It's not set up right. So ours actually has like thresholds on them. So like when it sees a high level, it shuts off that main pump and purges it out to the side. So it's going to eliminate some of that for you as well. The other thing with our program, the other thing with our program, so I think adding it to a CRM is great. I recommend, like even like when people like I talk about changing your CO alarms and testing those in your house.
True.
I recommend put it into your phone calendar.
Yep, this is my CO moment.
Right. Because think about it, right? So whether you change phones, you keep the same calendar.
Truth. Very true.
Like I can go back in my calendar, however long, like the last 20 years or whatever it is, and like, see like what appointment I had or what I was scheduled to do. Right.
Yep.
And so that calendar stays with us no matter what. So I also recommend being able to put that in your calendar. The other thing about our program is we will give you gentle reminders that it's time to send it in. So when you register it, they're not super aggressive emails. Like, it's not like we're going to email you every single day.
Right.
But we start about 45 days out from when it was last in for service to just give you that reminder, and it gives you the link to go right there. So, I think we're doing a lot of things in the realm of how can we make this easier for the contractors. So, having that UEI clip that I was talking about a little bit easier, set it and forget it. You don't have to think about it. You don't have to be looking at it. It's going to alert you. Coming out with a service program that's going to make your life easier. And by the way, our service program is really transparent. So you can always go to the website and see the price, because I think that's the other thing. Like you were talking about flat rate, right? For preventative maintenance.
Exactly.
And so you go in for a flat rate and and then all of a sudden you have to tell the customer, oh, well, it's actually going to be, and it's frustrating to the customer. So that's part of the reason that people started with flat rates, was to try to minimize that shock. But we do things very transparently on our pricing. You can go to our website and you know what it's going to be before you ever send it in.
Yep.
And I think that is a really nice thing as well, because a lot of these companies, they go, okay, I just invested in this. Now you're asking me to invest in something that I have to maintain every single year.
And that you weren't upfront about. Right.
Right. Yeah. And you have budgets that they're trying to do. So we try to be very upfront with all of our costs, so it's not a surprise to you.
I love it. You guys, UEI is the way to go, especially if you're new to combustion analysis too. They have so much training. Louise is like the combustion analysis trainer extraordinaire, big time. And she's taught me just about everything I know about it. And the other thing is we have it in the coalition too, readily available to anybody. We have carbon monoxide training that Louise taught us last year. And we have combustion analysis training as well, readily available. Send you the link, you watch it. If anybody wants more training, please reach out to us. I guess that is it for today. I'm going to go ahead and figure out how to get this onto the interwebs. We will see. But thank you so much, Louise, for being here with us, for always teaching us, always dedicating your time to teach us about the dangers of CO and how we as technicians can kind of evolve with the times to take care of it. And it's really like things in our industry change every year, but Louise is always here to make sure that like we are learning those new things that she's learning. So thank you, Louise. I can't imagine how many lives you save every day. I really can't.
Yeah, thank
I
you.
am trying my best, and I think that's what we can all ask for, right? Put our best foot
Absolutely.
forward, keep ourselves safe, keep our customers safe, and just keep talking about it. And I think the more we talk about it, the more it starts to resonate. So sharing your knowledge, even if it's a customer, maybe it's your friends, your family, whatever it can be, wherever you can talk about it, it's a good idea to talk about it.
For sure. For sure. And sharing these videos too, you guys. You watched them, you learned it. Now share it out there for everybody else to watch it and learn it. Eventually, everybody will understand CO and it won't be quite such a scary, scary subject, I guess, just because of the unknown parts of it, you know? We need to know about it in order to not be afraid of it. So
it's a dirty word.
It is a dirty word. It's a dirty thing, right? It's a dirty thing.
Yep.
All right, guys. Thank you so much for being with us. And we will catch you hopefully next week. We will see how this winter goes for us. All right. I will see you all later. Thank you.